Misty Penrod and Laura Martin. We are here at the home of Miss Pennix Friday, October 26th to conduct an interview with her on the history of J.C. Price School. Miss Pennix, can you state your name?
Theresa Pennix. Theresa Adams Pennix.
Okay. How old are you?
83.
And where were you born?
Greensboro, North Carolina.
What years did you attend J.C. Price School?
From the first grade to the ninth grade. I guess it was ninth, because when you got to the, I think when you got to the ninth grade, you went to Dudley.
Did you live in the Warnersville community?
I've always lived in the Warnersville area until the redevelopment started on the south side, and then I moved over here.
While you lived in Warnersville, what evidence did you see of the negative effects of segregation and discrimination?
I can't hear you.
What evidence did you see of the negative effects of segregation and discrimination in the Warnersville while you were growing up?
Well, you know, in those days, it was segregation was the thing. You know, in those days, it was. It was colored and white in those days.
Mm-hmm. How was the Warnersville neighborhood? How was it a strong all-black community?
We had a great community, real great community.
It was a good place to grow up in.
We believed in helping each other.
That's really
and that was without a price. We helped each other without a price. We didn't even think about money. But if your neighbor was sick or in need of anything, we helped each other. We loved each other.
That's good. That's really important to do that in the community.
And we could correct each other's children and things like that.
How much connection or interaction was there between the Warnersville community and the teachers and administration at Price?
Great. The teachers were great, and when there was something wrong going on with your child, they would always let you know, call you in for a meeting with the child, and get it corrected. They were great teachers.
Mm-hmm. And they were really involved out in the community with the parents.
There was a time that when the teachers came to your house, you know, they paid home visits.
You don't see that much anymore. No teachers go out.
They would come to you. I think, you know, down it was just once a year, but they made home visits.
What were some of your memories of Price School?
Great memories. I never did want school to close. Even in the summertime, I cried. When school was out, I cried. And I got fussed at for crying.
Because you loved to go to school?
I love school. I still love school. I always loved reading, and I wasn't an A student, but I was a B student.
Mm-hmm.
But I just loved school.
What are some stories you could tell me about? Do you remember some stories and memories? Different events that you remember?
Yeah, you please, honey. Okay. Stories? What kind of stories do you want?
Like some memories, certain events that you remember that you...
The Glee Club, I remember. That was a great time. And when you would, the children, girls were dressed in white, and the boys in white shirt and black pants. That was a great day when we would have a celebration of the Glee Club.
Were you in the Glee Club?
I couldn't sing that much, but I was in the Glee Club.
How would you judge the quality of education at Price when you were there?
It was good. It was really good. The teachers were really interested in you getting all that you could. And if they saw that you had a need, they would let your parents know. You know, if you needed extra help, they would let your parent know.
And that's really important because you don't see that a lot in the schools now. Most teachers don't seem to care about their students. How did the education at Price compare to the white schools in Greensboro?
I wouldn't know about the white.
Do you remember any extracurricular activities at Price? You mentioned the Glee Club. Do you remember anything else, like the sports teams or academic clubs or contests?
No,
and you mentioned the PTA pageant. That was in 1960.
I can't remember all of those. But it was always, and I tell you, what was great at our church, it was in May, the May program. In May was a great program.
May Day?
May Day.
Yeah.
That was a great, great program.
We've seen pictures of that. Pictures of when they had May Day.
It was just great.
What kind of thing?
And it went on until even with my children. I remember rushing home from work so I could get to the May Day. And at Christmas, you know, they always had a program about Christ and all. And so it was always something good going on. They had, of course, I didn't play that much sports. I remember playing volleyball, but that's the only thing I think that I remember.
What kind of activities did they do at May Day, the May Day festival?
All kinds of dancing and everything, singing and all kinds of things. I can't remember all of that.
Do you remember the school code or the school song? Was there a school song you knew in there?
No, I don't remember all that.
What were your favorite subjects or subject? What was your favorite subject or subjects, and why?
I like math.
You mentioned you liked reading.
And reading, oh boy, I just love that. And today I still read a little. I can't see good, but I still read a little.
What was your who was your favorite teacher or teachers?
Oh boy, I had a lot of favorites.
Does one stick out in your mind?
I had a lot of favorites. I can't even say. Because all of them were so.
All of them were great.
They were great teachers. And see, if you were obedient, you didn't have a lot of problems. And I knew to be obedient. You know, I knew to be obedient. But you got that told to you from home. And you knew when you went to school you was to listen to the teacher, because you were going there to learn.
What were your memories or impressions of Mr. Pillar?
Oh, what I remember about Mr. Pillar, that he was a fair man.
What sorts of disciplinary standards or expectations did he have?
Wait just a minute. Oh. I just loved Mr. Pillar because he would make you feel good about yourself. You know, in life, you go through life sometimes and puts you down. But he was he was one of those people that made you feel good about yourself, about your accomplishments, what you could do.
Mm-hmm.
I remember even after getting married and having children, that they had clinic at J.C. Price on Friday, once a month, I think. And I remember one day he came into the clinic, I don't know why, but something had been said somewhere. And he was telling us, he said, you know, you can have 10 suits, but you can't wear but one at the time. I'll never forget this. He said, so don't nobody know that you got 10 unless you tell them. And that did whatever was going on, made us feel so much better. And you children, y'all know that yourself. That don't nobody know what you got unless you tell them.
Mm-hmm.
And that bragging that you got this and you got that and you are better and all of that kind of stuff, that don't go on. But I just love Mr. Pillar, and he made you really feel good. Because, see, he was from the Warrensville area.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
We had read some letters that some of the students had wrote him in the school,
Mm-hmm.
and they really, all the letters were very positive.
Mm-hmm.
They really
Mm-hmm.
liked him as a principal, thought a lot of him.
Mm-hmm. He would help you all that he possibly could. Because I knew his daughter and his son.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the letters that mentioned, things he wanted to do to make Price School better, and all the students were really
Mm-hmm.
willing to make the school better
Mm-hmm.
and to do what he wanted them to do.
That's right. He was always trying to make things better for everybody.
What sorts of disciplinary standards or expectations did he have for the students?
I tell you one thing: if you acted out, he would send you home for a few days, and nobody could talk him out of it.
Mm-hmm. Would he ever go to the parents' home? And
Sure. Mm-hmm.
He would meet with the parents.
Yeah.
Go to their house.
And if you wanted to meet with him in his office, he always had time for you. And he would suggest ways of punishing children. He would say, okay, if they had to be expelled for a few days, he would say, don't let them sit down. Make them wash the windows.
Mm-hmm. A lot of them.
And I mean, he could teach in a lot of ways, honey. They don't get up or lay in the bed in the morning and sleep. You got up at the right time, and you didn't go to school, but you did chores around your house.
Mm-hmm. Things
that the mommy and the dad could not get done, because they were working. And I never will forget, he was saying, make them wash the windows. Because, see, so many times you couldn't get the windows washed outside all the time.
Yeah.
And that was a good way.
Yeah, that was expelling them. Some students now, they think that's the easy way out. Like, oh, I'm expelled, I don't have to go to school and not have to do anything.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's important.
But it was real important to him that you didn't, because you had to stay home a few days, that you just didn't go home and sit around.
Mm-hmm.
And because there wasn't a lot of television and all the stuff they got today. But you all wouldn't know how to live back in those days.
How did your education at Price prepare you for your later in life?
It taught me a lot, and I still can use it today. Friendship is so important to me. Not passing meanness from one to the other, telling one person what the other one said.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned a whole lot, and I still practice it today. If you can't pass on good, leave it alone.
It's important to be nice to everybody and not
That's right.
judge them for.
That's right. Even if you know something that's not nice, you don't pass it on. You don't pass it on.
How do you think the Price School should be commemorated by Greensboro College in the city today?
As a great, great school. I've heard, one time I heard that they were thinking about tearing it down. They would tear out the hearts of the people. That would be like tearing your heart out. To the people that are still living, and the ones that know J.C. Price, and the ones that have been helped by J.C. Price, if that school went down, it would be like tearing our hearts out.
So you think they should leave it alone and leave it
That's
there?
right. I think it should be left alone. I think it should. I know it's not, but a few of the J.C. Price people left.
And it means a lot.
Because I think your professor mentioned the name to me, and I told him that she had just died, Miss Dean. And he said, Miss Pennix, I hadn't even heard it. And I think she had been dead about 2 weeks. Because I think he was the first one that called me, wasn't it, your professor?
Yeah, he contacted everyone and told y'all that we was coming out.
And he said he had heard of Frances Dean, but he did not even know that she had died. Her funeral was at St. Matthew's on Florida Street. And because you all can't know about age. You all are young, and I'm so glad you're young. But you know you can't feel what we feel.
It means a lot to the community that it stays. That nothing happens to it.
Ooh, and I'm sorry.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No. I'm sorry for getting teared up.
That's all right.
I hope you don't show that part.
How did the renovation of Warnersville affect the community?
You know, when they started redeveloping, well, it scattered us. You know, it scattered the people. But what was so great about it, a lot of them settled over in this area. That was the strangest thing. A lot of the Warnersville people settled over in this area. But of course, most of them, because see, that was happening in the 60s. And most of them, because from Whittington Street to Andrews, between the two streets where I live, I am the only one left of the old original from Warnersville. It was a lot of them. Mrs. Robinson on the corner up there, Miss Higgins, Miss Wright, Miss Rucker, Miss Bay, Miss Davis, Miss Dawkins, Miss Gilliard, all of them.
Did you say Miss Higgins?
Higgins.
Was that?
She lived on the corner, right up here on the corner of Whittington and Bellevue.
Is that Jane Higgins?
She's in that family. That was no doubt her mommy or grandmommy one.
Well, we're going to interview her as well, Jane Higgins.
And I want you to know, Miss Higgins was the kind of person that if she knew something was going on, and she came to see about you. In those days, honey, we didn't have, we didn't have cars and all of the transportation, to go but we walked. And she was a great lady. She worked in the PTA too, and at her church, New Zion.
But everybody came together as a community and helped. Everybody helped each other.
Everybody was concerned about each other. And you see, it was never money mentioned. You didn't even mention money.
That wasn't even important. It was
the welfare of your neighbor or your neighbor's child, that's what was important. Now, Jane Higgins, listen, Mrs. Higgins' son, I believe, was principal. She had a son, I do believe, that was principal at a school or something. And I don't know whether that would be Jane's husband or what, but anyway.
Her husband's name is Benny.
He's dead, isn't he?
That's
it. That's what I'm talking about.
That's the lady that I'm going to interview.
Is she the one that went around to the community, or was that her mother?
His mother.
Okay.
His mother. Just a great. So her children can't help but be great. So it was just great, and I hope you all have those kind of neighbors, and as you all grow up, and
more communities need to be like that now. Come together, help each other.
Because my father died when I was 9 years old, and it was 6 of us in my family, 4 girls and 2 boys, and my mother always do the things that we had to do in our home. We had to go to Sunday school, because see, you went to Sunday school before you went to school. We had to go to Sunday school. We had to go to school when we got old enough. We had to help our neighbors. We had to go by the rules and regulations of the house. And in those days, you could not vote until you got 21. So if you had gone from home at 21, your mommy or your dad one told you, now you're 21, go and register so you can vote. Now those are the things that I was taught. But today you can register at 18, because I used to work with the Board of Election, and I was the Democratic judge, and people could come right here to my house and I could register. And they were 18 years old. But now I was registering people 18 when I couldn't register until I was 21. So things have gotten better.
What was your education after leaving Price?
What
was your education after leaving Price?
I went to Dudley. I didn't graduate. I went to the 11th grade.
That was like the high school after Price?
Dudley was a great school too. So when you left Price, you went to Dudley. That was the only one where you went in my day.
What is your current or previous occupation? Your current or previous occupation?
I was a domestic worker. Okay. And there's the lady that I worked for 51 years and 10 months. Go get that, hon. That's it right there. That lady, my mother, thank you, honey. My mother got me this job. I had got married, and I lived across the street from my mother. My family calls me Sissy. And Mama came home, and it was Glen. Do you all know where Glenwood is? Okay, well, that's where Mama worked, in Glenwood. And Mama came home, and Miss Griffin then lived on Lexington Avenue. And Mama came home that day, and she said, Sissy, I lived across the street from her. She said, Sissy, do you want a job? I had one child, Yvonne. I said, yes, ma'am. and I started working for that lady. I would work I started off working like 3 days.
Mhm.
And when I would get pregnant, I would work until I couldn't work. And then I would stay, after I had my baby, I'd stay home 4 months. And then I'd go back to work. And I stayed there 51 years and 10 months. And the reason that I didn't make the other 2 months to make it a year, my husband got sick, and I did too. My husband had Alzheimer's,
Mhm.
and I had to have gallbladder surgery, and that was my reason. But, I never got to retire. I never got to retire. I just had to quit so I could take care of him. So even after I got better, after my surgery, I still could not go back to work because I had to take care of him, and he was sick for 5 years.
So you worked with her on, what street did you say?
Lexington Avenue in Glenwood.
Lexington Avenue.
Mm-hmm. And she is still living. She's in a home in Hendersonville, North Carolina. I talked to her Tuesday, I believe.
Mhm.
Her daughter-in-law, as I told you, I've always been one for crying a lot. The day that they were going to take her to Hendersonville, where they was getting her ready, my caregiver came and took me over there to say goodbye. And her daughter-in-law and her son was there that day. And I cried so hard until, let me tell you what that daughter-in-law did. She bought me a calling card so I could talk to her anytime I wanted to.
That was sweet of her to do that.
And I have maybe 99 minutes now on my first card, but Betty has already sent me my second card.
Was this lady wealthy? Was she a wealthy woman?
Mm-mm. No, ma'am. Not wealthy. No, ma'am, she wasn't wealthy, but. And every time I talk to Miss Griffin now, her mind is mixed up. And she'll say, Theresa, are you going to help me? I said, yes. We tried to straighten it out, Her daughter, she has a son and a daughter. Her daughter would say, Mama, said Theresa needs somebody to help her. She can't help anybody. And she told her daughter, said, you'd be surprised at what me and Theresa could do. And I guess she would. Because I'd be dragging around with this walker trying to do something. And so we stopped trying to straighten it up. When she asked me if I'm going to still help her, I always tell her yes. And she's a beautiful woman. Just beautiful. Yes, I worked for her for a long, long time. I know you all didn't come here to hear all that, did you?
Fine. Is there anything else you'd like to add?
No, I know y'all got to go, so. But I'm glad you came.